welcome to the first of many devlogs on this cowboy game I'm making. It is a Doom-inspired cowboy hack and slash corridor shooter. Um, Currently, as you can tell, in very early development. This is, however, just from the first day of development. Myself and a person who loves to create first and then build off what I create, rather than spend too long on the technical side of things. This, for example, is the tutorial slash demo level of the game, which will soon hopefully be named. I think right now I'm working with either um, Western Cop or Cowboys Tango is one that I kind of have in mind. It'll be a fun little wacky game that I'll be working on over hopefully the next 1 or 2 months to get the demo out, from which you will see all the devlogs. Hopefully, maybe 3 times a week. Um, just to introduce myself, if in case it is your first time here, my name is William Franklin. Will is perfectly fine. I am a games designer based in the UK. I am very passionate about video games. I love the medium, and I think it still has plenty more that developers can harness. And I hope to be the people and meet the people, sorry, and be the person who harnesses those things. Um, I myself am a specialist in level design, I'd like to say. However, I can quite happily do mechanics programming, a little bit of 3D art. However, level design um, and narrative is something that I pride myself on learning and being very, very exceptional at. Level design, for example, is one of my favorite things to do. I love designing levels, I love doing level blockouts, I love drawing 2D bird's eye view levels. I love it. It is probably my favorite thing because you can't play a video game without having a level. Um, if you ever wanted to check out some of my previous work, I have several links in my YouTube, in my bio, and I'll leave all of them in the description of this video for you guys to go and check out. I have a website where it has all of my best, I want to say, work on there. You can see a lot of my college projects on there. You can see some of my 3D modeling, a few of my own projects, and quite a few prototypes on there. You can also just learn a bit about me. Feel free to ask questions about games design. Feel free to contact me about any sort of games jams or games competitions. If I have the time, I will attempt and try my hardest to join you. Um, but anyway, let's get into this first little development reel. So today, I wanted to focus on this tutorial level. I've gotten quite a lot done. As you'll notice, the game is very pixelated. That is on purpose, I promise. We are using a shader down here, which a good friend of mine taught me, because I'm not the best at shaders. This one is quite simple. All it's doing is just changing your resolution to these variables here. Variables. So I did a lot of tinkering, did a lot of number changing from like 1 pixel upwards. I settled on about 288 by 288, which I think makes the game look very, very clean, very polished, while also keeping that retro feel. Everything's readable, as you can see. Um, as for if we go into the general environment, most of my day was spent modeling these quick models. The game, I want to be low poly. Most of the design is based on the textures and the shader, improving those textures and making everything look like it should. Ooh, fast camera. Whoopsies. There we go. That's a bit more comfortable. Um, Currently, there is just a sandy floor surrounded by fog, just so I don't have to worry about decorating or making a backdrop. However, as I said, this is only the first day of development, and it will improve. Don't you worry. The flora, the dead bushes, and the cactuses are just planes with pixel art pasted on. As you can see, it kind of emulates that old feel of the objects kind of looking at you to simulate a 3D effect, which is something I personally love. It's a niche thing, but I love it when games still have that. Um, this game itself was heavily inspired, obviously, by Doom, but also by extension by Boltgun, which is a game I have been enjoying massively recently. I love Warhammer, and I love the arcadey Doom feel of Boltgun. It's just mixed two of some of my favorite things. Um, so yeah, what else? You've got the targets down here. As you can see, the textures very rough, very sort of rustic, outdoorsy feels to them, which are only just helped by the pixelated shader. I think it makes them look very clean. It makes everything blend in together, even though some of the textures aren't exactly the same art style. But I think it all blends in quite well. If we go into as you can see, the fences around here, we'll go into the fences blueprint. This is running off a basic description graph blueprint. It is in models. If we go into shooting range, not target, fence, blueprint musical fence. As you can see, it runs off a very simple for loop, which changes the variables seen here. So if I drag this out, it creates X amount of these, which is the number I have dragged. I can go over these in a bit more detail in another video. I do plan to do more tutorials for you guys, so if you're ever stuck on anything, I love to learn through teaching, which is something that I will intend to help everybody with. Yeah, so as you can see, it is very simple. It just takes a bit of tinkering with the numbers, because you have to make sure that your origin point of the models, sorry, is equal to, as you can see, I just deleted all of them. Whoops. If I just go back into this. Just backspace that a little bit. There we go. So you can do a lot with this. Me as a level designer, these are very helpful to me because it means I'm not having to go through and spend a lot of memory just individually placing objects to lay out a level. You can use this from the very early stage of development all up until the final build. You know, they're just very helpful tools to have. I also worked on a bit of a bolt gun inspired movement mechanic. This game is going to feature a lot of movement, a lot of heavy, sort of fast paced movement, which should hopefully make you feel like a really cool guy. This is simply just a roll mechanic. It runs off an actor sequence in terms of the visuals, and it also just runs off a simple boolean of if you are fatigued by performing an exhausted action, as I call them, such as running, dashing, maybe adding a sort of jump into there as well, you'll become fatigued for a certain amount of time based on which action you performed. If an action is if I deem it to be more useful or more impactful, it will make you exhausted and fatigued for a longer amount of time. The roll is sort of a middle sort of thing, of it will make you fatigued for about 5 seconds, which doesn't seem like a lot, but in a fast-paced game like this, where you're constantly being shot at, it could mean life or death. However, the roll will feature an invulnerability. So when you roll, if you are being shot at, for example, you can just roll, get out of the way, get into cover, maybe grab a new weapon, maybe grab more ammo if you need it. Or maybe even if you're a coward, just roll into the level end. So yeah, that's the roll. As you can see, it's a pretty simple mechanic. You just duck, roll forward, and then you come back up at the end. I think if we move now onto targets, as you can tell from this, we are using the first-person template. However, this game will feature projectile and hit scan weapons, which are all being read about in the GDD of this game, which I may publish at some point. Yeah, I'm working through the GDD currently. It will feature every single weapon collectible in this game. The targets themselves, you shoot, they go up. They also run off an actor sequence, which I love, by the way. It's one of my favorite additions to Unreal Engine, putting sequences inside of blueprints. It just makes everything so much easier. And I really hope Epic continues to develop that, unlike the multi-user plugin engine. Multi-user editing plugin, which is abysmal. So as you can see, these just go up. In the demo, these will kind of add to your score overall based on how far away you shot from. So, for example, that will be the most amount of points, that will be the least amount of points. But there will be multiple different types of weapons, which may make certain shots easier, and those will be sort of calculated in the point system. I believe that is everything I've done for today. This is only the first day of development, and I'd like to think I've done a pretty good job and gotten a decent amount out. Um, Hopefully, in the next month or two, the demo should be available to play, and it should look, play, and feel amazing. So yeah, I will leave my socials in the description of this video. There'll also be my YouTube bio. Feel free to get into contact. Feel free to check out, learn a bit about who I am. And yeah, thank you for watching this first of hopefully many devlogs.